Greetings, my name's Tim Johnson. This is Recovery, Strength, Hope and Courage. Today's video is about five simple rules I follow on a daily, hourly, secondly basis every single day that are bringing me slowly but surely um, a sense of peace, inner peace, contentment and happiness that I thought I'd never find in my life. It's really important, as you know, in recovery, and again, I'm not telling you something that you don't already know here, but to find a connection with something greater than yourself. It's something that was sadly lacking in my life, and something that I really ignored all the way through it. Although when I look back, I was searching for something all the time, but never really found it in my addictions. And this conscious contact with something greater than yourself is really important um, as you go on, certainly into recovery and your journey, goes into the latter, not latter stages is the wrong word, but as you get deeper into your recovery. In AA and NA, it's that connection with handing your will over to that higher power and sort of a conscious contact with the higher power or God, in inverted commas, of your choice. And that's fine, each their own, but you do need to have some sort of contact with something greater than yourself spiritually. And for me, it's mine is the universe, and finding a relationship and a contact and with a greater consciousness than my own, which may sound a bit woo-woo, but as each day goes on and I sort of practice a daily practice of my new lifestyle, which includes sort of meditation and yoga and all those sort of things, if you practice these rules, you will find that conscious contact, whether it be with something, like myself, my higher power is the universe, or the God of your choice, or the higher power of your choice. But it's really important to have that connection, as part of your recovery. I think it's essential to it. And the five rules that I sort of follow on a daily basis have changed my life in a way. I mean, there's lots of other things, as you see from my other videos. Please subscribe and like these videos, because it helps other people see them as well. If you find them useful to yourself, I'll share them with other people, because every little helps, and if it can change one person's outlook or view of life and create some happiness within their life, then I'm delighted. But these things, we haven't got an excuse now in this day and age with the power of the internet and YouTube and social media and all the rest of it. We don't have an excuse not to learn, and I try and learn every day. And these five rules some have come from other people, and some I've sort of developed on from that. And there's many other things I do on a daily basis. I'll explain in my other videos, but these five rules I think are essential to that conscious contact and to creating an inner peace, clarity, calmness, contentness, whatever you want to call it, in within yourself. And I'm someone who suffered from very great depression, as throughout my addiction. When I look back, there wasn't. It was always darkness and no light at all in my life. Apart from the light that obviously my wife and kids brought and that type of thing. But even then, there was a sense of inner dissatisfaction, if you like, restlessness throughout my whole life. If I look back, I was never happy with anything in my life, really, deep down, which is why I sought solace in opiates and drugs and other drugs and alcohol, in particular, always to hide from that, hide from my fears and hide from any sort of real emotional feeling that I had. Well, fear's a phantom; it doesn't really exist, and these things will help you discover that. And the first of the five is, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, and that's really about a positive attitude. And my glass was always half empty, and now it's always half full. And it sounds trite, this, and but it's not easy to do. To change that attitude. But you've got to. And one way I do this every single day, and I've said this before, is with a gratitude list. I don't write it every day; it's already written down. So there's 50 odd things on it at the moment, and it grows every day because I always add things to it. And before I do any sort of meditation or exercise or work or create anything or do anything in my life, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is read through my gratitude list. And I do it out loud, and I thank, in my case, I thank the universe for each one of the things on that list. And it always heads my wife and my daughters are always sort of head of the list. But it's the little things, it's that you take for granted, like food, warmth, water, clean water coming out your tap, shelter, clothes on your back, just security, being the security of having a roof over your head. Just that, they sound, but they're massive things really. And if you start to do this daily gratitude list, then the way you look at things changes. So you look at something which probably wouldn't have given you any joy. I look out the window at the sea, for instance. For 2 years while I lived here in addiction, I never saw the sea. It was just there. But now I can stare at it with wonder. At anything in nature, but the colour of it, the shape, the movement of it, the beauty of it, the naturalness of it, nature. The way I look at things now is totally different. I look at them with a positive attitude, and that affects the way your brain chemicals work and your brain works, and you get this buzz, this endorphin buzz from just doing that, just looking at something and seeing something in a different way. That's number one. Number two is when you judge another, you don't define them, you define yourself. And I was a very judgmental person. I'd look at someone, and even look at, God forbid, even look at other addicts and think, or homeless people, and just think, and judge. And I was just judging myself. I was just defining myself really, because they were my issues. They were my issues. I don't judge anybody anymore, you know, because we each live our own lives, don't we? And unless you've walked, I always say, unless you've walked in my shoes, don't judge me. And it's very easy to do things like to assume and to judge and build pictures in your brain, but it's all a dream. And half the time, that it's these dreams in your brain that create all your fears and your the way you think, and you become a very bitter and negative person by judging people. And I've got rid of all that now. I don't judge anyone, for whatever they do. And if someone has an issue with me, if someone judges me or has a problem with me, I don't have an issue with that anymore. I don't take things personally. It's another massive one. Don't take anything personally, because their issue with me is their issue. I don't have an issue with them, and I just live that way now, day to day, and that brings me a lot of peace and happiness where before I was very discontent. Number three, you can't be lonely when you like the person you're alone with. And that's quite a profound one, really, because that's about loving yourself. And for many, many years in addiction, I hated myself. I hated the way I looked. I hated the way I was. I couldn't look at myself in a mirror. I hated that person that was me. And now I love that person, and it's been a slow process. And I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, 100%. But I like the person I am now. I'm sort of falling in love with that person, if you like. Whereas before I didn't like him at all. But because of the rules I follow in my life now, because of the way I view things and look at things, um, I'm beginning to really like myself. And of course, I like my appearance a lot better as well, because I've lost a lot of weight through my diet and through my exercise. I'm only putting good things in my body now. Only good things in my body, definitely. And I look after it and I treat it with respect. So obviously my appearance has changed. I'm never going to be, I'm never going to be Brad Pitt or anything, or I use him as an example. I don't know why I use him as an example, but, I'm never, I'm not, but I'm becoming beautiful from within, if you like, and that shines out from you. That come, and people pick up on that vibration, and you become more attractive to them because of what you're becoming inside, yourself, and liking and loving yourself. and I'm not a lonely person. There's a big difference between solitude and loneliness because I live on my own here, and I don't. Some days I don't speak to people. I try and make an effort, to get out and speak to people on most days, but some days I don't. Some days I want to be, on my own, and I enjoy solitude, and that's not loneliness because I like being with myself, where I hated it before, and I used to drink and drug to oblivion to avoid being with that real person that was me. That's number 4 is be negative or miserable, or but be positive and motivate yourself. Whatever has to be done, it's always your choice. And again, that sounds simple, but it is always your choice. If you want to carry on drinking and drugging, if you want to carry on being negative, if you want to carry on judging people, if you want to carry on shoving shit in your body, if you want to carry on, just being in a black ball of depression, and I'm not knocking depression, please don't get angry about that. Depression can be a serious illness, but sometimes mood and depression are two different things. Serious depression requires treatment from a qualified therapist or doctor. There's no doubt about that, and it is a serious illness. But a lot of the times we, as addicts, because we're shoving shit in our bodies and we've damaged our brains with alcohol and drugs and all the rest of it, that mood and depression is self-inflicted. So you can change yourself. There's no doubt about it. It's your choice. Everything you do in life is your choice. And you know, if you carry on the way you are, if you choose to carry on that way, then nothing will change. As the old saying, isn't it? If nothing changes, then nothing changes, and that's true of addiction because it'll just carry on and carry on and carry on. And in early recovery as well, it's really important, to look at the glass half full, and to motivate yourself. Remember that 5-second rule, when you don't feel like doing something, your brain will always click into comfort mode and go into relax mode and try and protect you from any sort of discomfort or physical or mental. So it's the snooze button. But you've got to beat that 5 seconds, because if you don't act in those 5 seconds, and that may be having something healthy to eat, it may be going out to exercise, it may be thinking positive, whatever it is. If you don't act in that 5 seconds, your brain will click back, and it really is difficult then to get it back into that positive mode and that movement mode where you can get out and do things. Right, number 5 and finally is you'll see it when you believe it. And that's an important one, because believing in yourself is 100%. Where whether you believe you can do something or you don't believe you can do something, you're right, because you'll convince yourself either way. So if you don't believe you can do something, your brain will convince you can't do it, and that's where fear slips in. And in the next couple of days, I'm going to make a video about conquering your fears, and it's something again which is very, very difficult to do, but something that I'm achieving through the way I'm living now, and the thought processes I'm having. So believe in yourselves, because if you believe you can do it, you can do it. The human mind and body is an amazing thing. And I'll say this before: if you've not discovered Wim Hof on the internet yet, it's called the Iceman and the Wim Hof method, which I practice on a daily basis now. Please look it up online, because that's another thing that's changing my life. It's too deep to go into in this video, but look it up. Believe in yourself. It's all about mind body connection, and believing in yourself. Belief and focus. And you can achieve anything you set your mind to. And that, and recovery is all about that. It's all about that determination and that belief and that focus, and positivity and happiness, and retraining your brain, as I've said before. See, the future isn't promised to anybody. We've only got the second we're in at the moment, so you need to go for it now. And carpe diem, as I always say, seize the day. And you can achieve anything you set your mind to. Dream big, because you can achieve those dreams, whatever age you are, and whatever stage you're at. So hold on if you're struggling, because it does get better, and it will get better. And try and follow these 5 simple rules. And like I say, I'll make a video about fear in the next couple of days. So look after yourselves. Much love to you all. Please subscribe and like these videos and share them, because it will help other people if they're helping you. So till next time, see you. Bye bye.